Good evening and welcome to Cornish. Tonight we're going to talk about a topic that Los Angeles County has 60,000 plus, get that number right, 60,000 plus that are classified as homeless. They're either living in tents, underneath a blanket, or living on top of cardboard. They deal with going through the trash to get food or just to survive. Tonight, we're going to talk about homelessness. When I was homeless back in June, and my friend Austin Anderson, we sat down in the park in downtown LA as we talked about being homeless, depression, and much more. I wanted to share this interview with you tonight because I believe it was important. I'm here with my friend Austin Addison.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Pretty well, thanks.
Good.
You know, just living the dream here in LA.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. So how did you end up on Skid Row?
That's a good question. It's a long answer. So I have been on Skid Row for a few months now at this point. In mid-January, I was manic. I'm bipolar 1, which means you have manic highs and depressive lows. And I was in the manic high stage, and I was in this mindset of I want to give my stuff away, I have too many things. But I also had other mindsets during these manic periods where I just wanted to like dance in the street and sing in the street and do yoga in the street, and it is funny. I was just on another level, and I don't even know how to describe that level, but I didn't have my wits about me, if you will. So during that process, I got to this point where I didn't have any money. Like, I spent all of my money. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to deal with that later in the form of bankruptcy. But I ended up in this place where I was just roaming the streets of downtown LA. I was using the bus a lot to go to like Venice, another place where there's a lot of homelessness. I was just going kind of to the end of the line at various places and seeing where life took me. And finally, I had this kind of period of wake up, if you will, in mid-February. So I spent a good few weeks on the streets. I was picked up by the cops multiple times and 5150'd, which means it's involuntary detention. I think that may be how you say it. But it's where you're essentially crazy and they think that you're gonna harm someone or harm yourself, and they take you into custody. So that wasn't fun. That happened several times, and finally friends and family were trying to figure out, where is Austin? Like, how do we pick up Austin? And they did, thankfully, and I was at a friend's home, and then from there the cycle kind of repeated itself again, unfortunately, because I hadn't been on medication and I hadn't got the help that I needed. So most recently, and how I met Ernie here, is I was through the Department of Mental Health. I have a rep there who kind of is my liaison and kind of helps me navigate the system, if you will. And I was with friends at the time, just trying to, I forget, they have a term for it when you're staying on someone's couch. Do you know that?
Couch surfing?
No, it's not couch surfing.
No.
It's something like that. But I was doing that, just trying to find shelter, because I'd spent a few nights on the street again, and this was April at this point. And he called and he said that they had a place in what's called the Russ Hotel, which is SRO, which is single resident occupancy. Yeah. And that's where I'm at now.
So what struggles have you dealt with since you've been back here, or down here in LA?
Oh gosh. Struggles. Homelessness it's hard, it's a matter of fact. Right, exactly. It's also very psychologically, there were points when I was on the streets where I was eating out of trash cans, where I was scavenging for everything. I would go to like the little places where you can get the newspaper, and sometimes there would be things in there that I could eat. I would look in trash cans. I at one point was in a random ass part of LA, and I went to this fast food restaurant, and like they wouldn't help me. And I went to the back door even. I was like, "Can I please have something?" And they didn't do anything. And so I went to their dumpster and like got some things to eat. So you just I've found that you hit these periods of desperation, and that's clearly why you see people doing what they're doing. It's because, not because necessarily you want to, but like when push comes to shove and you're hungry, like dare I say starving, like you're gonna do it, whatever you have to do to get food.
Yeah.
So yeah, I found it also very like isolating. Just being homeless, and especially like down here and on Skid Row, like you don't always know who has your back or who won't, or who not to mess with. So you kind of just have to like be in your own little shell, is what I've found.
Definitely.
I don't know about you, but that's the big thing that I've experienced.
Well, especially because we're the minority down in Skid Row.
Yeah, we are. And I can't tell whose neighborhood it is. It's tough, and I hear different things from people that make you believe that you're somewhat safe, but then some people are like, don't even look people in the eye, and it's like, what? I just want to like live my life.
Yeah.
Homelessness too, like I said, it's isolating, and isolating obviously it leads to like loneliness. But apart from that, it's also just exhausting. Like, not to say that like you're running circles around the city, but oftentimes like you have an appointment to go to like the general relief office in Wilshire, and then you have to go something with the courthouse, and then you have to run around while like you don't necessarily have the best type of like technology. Like sometimes I was without a phone. Oftentimes I was without a phone, and that was a big problem. And thank you to President Obama, who enacted some program to where that's how I have my phone now.
Right.
But without those things that are just such simple little luxuries that prior to this situation I took for granted, I did. Like without those little helps, without the 3 meals a day that are provided to us where we currently are, like I would be SOL. You know, like I would probably be on the streets again, or I would be dumpster diving. And it's funny, like sometimes I'll even sense those tendencies of desperation like come up again, because it even gets to the point where you like pick up used cigarette butts off the street because you like want something to smoke to fill your time and distract your mind and yourself from this prison of homelessness. Does that make sense?
But let's talk about depression. We've talked about it before, but
Yeah, like I said before the break, I'm bipolar 1, which means I have depressive states and also elevated states of mania. And my depression is really what I was diagnosed with first. I was like 16. For me, depression, it can come in like waves and just like hit me. And I think you said something similar the other day, where when it does hit me, it's debilitating. And I don't want to like leave the house. I can barely find it within myself and my energies to do the things I need to do. But I will say that I thankfully, as of late, even though these situations have not been ideal, like
Right.
no one wants to be homeless. No one wants to be homeless on Skid Row. But somehow I've found that the depression hasn't been as big of a challenge for me as of late, which is good.
that's good.
I don't know why so much.
Yeah.
As of just perhaps it's because my thoughts are focused on like little appointments here and there. I had some legal matters I had to clear up, and I'm in the process of, so that kind of kept my mind busy. But I do think that it does help when you are depressed to try to find things especially outside of your home. And when I say outside of our home, we live in like 7 by 10 foot boxes essentially with sinks. They're not homes so much as it literally kind of, the other day I just like was sitting there and I was like, this is kind of like a prison cell, but not. I mean, and I've been in, well, I haven't been in prison. I've been in jail and held. Yeah, you can exit. You can exit when you want to. And you have things there, but you can't have much. You have your sink, which you would have in jail. You just don't have a toilet.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, but back to your question. Depression, it's such like a silent thing for so many people. And I wish more people would talk about it. Touchy subject. It's hard to cover. It's hard to write about. It's hard to do anything about because you don't want to glorify it. But it's something that's so rampant in the LGBTQ community, in probably the homeless community.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it needs to be talked about. So I'm glad they're finally having shows like 13 Reasons Why to do so.
Exactly. So have you ever tried to commit suicide?
No, I haven't. I mean, I've contemplated suicide before, but I haven't acted on it.
That's good.
Yeah.
Actually, I have. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're still here.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here. I'm very glad you're
too.
here. How do you get over depression when you have a depressive symptom?
For me, it's literally sleeping or crying my day away.
Yeah.
And usually, in 48 hours, I feel fine and I'm good.
Okay.
I can go on with life, but it's tough.
That's when I would say get out of your room and even if you're like crying, put on some sunglasses.
Right.
And like try to walk the block a few times.
Do something, yeah.
That's what I mean, I walk this city so much and I have walked it a ton. And a lot of it's to keep myself from being too idle. Because I find when I'm idle, that's when I get more into a low or depressive state.
Right.
Period. Yeah.
So, what's the plans from here? I mean, we only have 60 days in our place?
we have a very short amount of time in where we're at. So my path would have been to apply for various vouchers, housing vouchers, to then hope that I could find an apartment in the Los Angeles County area that would be affordable enough. But I'm taking a different route personally. So I'm going to be going to Texas to stay with family. I'm actually going to be living with my grandmother in a small town northwest of Houston. That's where I grew up, and it's going to be interesting. I mean, it's not. Never would I have ever said, "Oh, Austin is going to be doing that" when he's 29. But life hands you lemons, and you gotta go to Texas and make some lemonade, I guess.
There you go.
Beyonce would be proud. No, I mean, that's what's next for me. I'm gonna go there, and I'm trying to see life as a series of events and days, breaking it down bit by bit. I cannot even begin to imagine what even December looks like for me, because my life, it's not in shambles, but it's in this place where it's being rebuilt. Wow. Good emphasis. And so for that reason, I'm going to go be someplace that's a little bit more familiar for me. And also, like I said, this has been happening since mid-January. We're at the beginning of June, practically. LA has just kind of done me in. I'm throwing in the towel. In the towel. I thank this city for all of the government programs that it has to help me. Which I should mention, if you are homeless and you're in California even, you need to go get on EBT, aka CalFresh, aka food stamps, all the same thing. You need to do that because the benefit, I think, is $190 something a month.
192. Yeah,
192. And then secondly, if you're unemployed, I lost my job and I lost my housing at the same time in January, if that's similar to you, you need to also get on general relief. And general relief can be a cash stipend, if you will, of up to $221 a month. So it doesn't sound like much, but when you have nothing and you're on the streets, it's a lot.